Oh, we're live? Holy cow. That's it right there. So welcome to, I guess, the first of many Hangouts we hope to have. If I start laughing during this thing, Steve CP has been playing with the effects on Google Hangout and has a mustache and a monocle, so I apologize that.
That is not an effect. This is how I roll. Actually, I'm wearing this in honor of your Portland office. I'm doing the Portlandia.
I don't know they don't wear monocles, do they?
Did you see that episode where they said we're going back to the 90s and it was the 1890s that they were talking?
I did see that. That was delightful.
Exactly.
And
apt. Exactly. I should be wearing a leather shirt or something and having my blacksmith hammer, but I left those in the shed with my cow.
What if I told you I never saw that show?
Oh, James, you are missing out.
Did I just lose a lot? I don't know. I got baseball on my mind. I don't know.
Okay. Well, so when you have a spare, you should just watch it. It's good for people who grew up in our generation.
Let me write it down on my notes.
Okay, good.
Well, I guess we should introduce each other. As many of you know, my name is James Fee. I work for WeoGeo. I'm joined with Steve and Madeline. Steve, would you like to introduce yourself to those who don't remember you from 10 years ago?
Thanks, James. Nice. Everybody remembers me. I'm Steve Citron-Pousty. I'm now a developer evangelist for OpenShift. I did work at Esri for a while, and then I also worked at Carta.
What is OpenShift?
OpenShift is Red Hat's platform as a service in the cloud. So I've moved out some from the spatial realm, although my focus at OpenShift is working on spatial stuff. So.
Cool. And we also have Madeline, who's from WeoGeo, who I have to give a little for setting all this up. Thank you, Madeline. Introduce yourself.
Hi, all. Yeah, I'm Madeline. I'm working up at the Portland office, and I'm producing this series, Hangouts with James Fee. And I will also be tracking your comments. Feel free to comment on the YouTube video or the video in the Google Plus page, or you can just tweet to James or to Steve, and I'll keep tracking and read off your comments as they come in.
Cool. Well, let's just jump in because I only have about a half an hour of patience to do this. So, Steve, you and I were able to go to the Esri UC, though you never went, did you?
Well, I didn't actually have the opportunity to go. I think I'm still blacklisted from my Jakarta dates. I'm not sure, but I think I am actually blacklisted. Yeah, I think. Well, I was when I was at Jakarta. So,
okay.
But I did get a chance to meet up with you and Dave and some of the other DTS Agile or DTS Wildfire folks that night of, and then go to, what was that shishi bar we went to afterwards?
What was that?
With the blue flames on the tabletops?
Yeah, that was on top of the what is it? The Hard Rock.
Yes, it was. Fluid? Was it Fluid?
Fluid, yes. It all sort of blends in, right? It's one big party the whole week.
It's true, it is.
So for those that didn't get to go, I guess including Steve, he's changing his face on Hangouts.
Well, I'm in San Diego now, so I have to do the whole beach thing.
Yeah, your mustache is still on. Gosh, I hope this is going through to the YouTube. Otherwise, they're going to wonder why we're laughing. So basically, someone asked me, you know, what came out of the Esri UC, and I could write a big blog post and go all snarky about it. So rather than that, I think it's easier for me just to talk about it. So basically, you know, not much new came out of the UC that we hadn't seen. ArcGIS Online, apparently it's going to run everything. What do you think about that, Steve? Basically, every Esri thing will be run through ArcGIS Online.
What does it mean, every Esri thing? What do you mean by that?
So Esri Maps for Office? You want to use that? Let's just say just say yes. You want to use it.
I totally want to use it. I'm so excited about it.
It's an ArcGIS Online subscription.
That's right. So I see how they're pushing it to the online part. They have definitely bought into the cloud is your savior thing.
Yeah.
So they've gotten rid of the push with everything being through the desktop, which I think is a smart move actually for them.
Oh, totally.
But I do think the way they're pushing it out is not so friendly, from what we heard from some people at the show.
Yeah, well, it's confusing because it's so broad. Depending on who at Esri you talk to, it means something different.
I've never seen that happen. I said this was going to be Carmageddon, and it will be. I've never seen that happen before with an Esri product.
No, right? So you know, and part of it is I've been pretty hard on the marketing of ArcGIS Online. So this will be like the point where I just say I don't care anymore. It is what it is.
That's right.
It's Jack's company. He's worth billions of dollars. I'm worth I'm sure I'm not worth anything at this point, given I own a house in Arizona. So who am I to say anything about anything?
That's right.
But I find it interesting. Most of the sessions, I only went to one session, mostly because they're intro sessions, and when you get older, you just don't want to sit through an intro session. But they were all packed out the door, even in the big rooms. Remember some of those big rooms, like room 6?
Yeah.
They're just completely packed. So it's one of two things, or it could be a combination of two things. One, people are excited and really want it. Two, they have no idea what it is, and they want to figure it out. Or three, it's both those above, and people are sort of excited about it, and they don't know what it is.
Oh, can I give a 4?
Yeah.
All right. So I think actually the 4 is the analogy of ESRI and Microsoft. Like, I think ESRI users are now very, very trained in this is what's coming down the pipe, and you will consume it because we control it, right? And so they see how many sessions there are on ArcGIS Online, and so there is no choice. You should get to know it because it's coming your way one way or the other.
Yeah, and they sort of slide it into all. I was in a on a Friday. I was looking for something to do, and I hopped into an ArcGIS for CAD session, and they merged it into there. Well, if you've got your ArcGIS Online, so it's definitely the new. Every every Esri product, you have to figure out how to get this tool into it. So, I guess it's just the way forward.
But you could see it as a continuation of their strategy around server, right? Everything was going to happen through server, and then they saw, well, maybe server wasn't getting the traction they wanted, and so for a lot of people, it's too hard and too much infrastructure to bring up. So we'll host it for you, and then you'll just run it through here, and this is what everything happens through, unless you have enough IT to do it yourself.
Yeah, and that's probably the GIS is this little bubble, right? It's just this little itty-bitty thing, and we all know each other, and we meet at the top of the bar at the hotel, a couple nights a week at the Esri UC, and we're all happy. But majority of people happen outside of our environment, and maybe that's ArcGIS or Esri Maps.
Watch your we, Kimosabi. I have now made a little bit of a break from that community. I don't use Esri at all. My machines are Linux and Mac, and so I'm in that other world now. And when you talk about some of the requirements that Esri gives to people, like this whole ArcGIS Online, they must be having some integration with server where you can skip ArcGIS Online, but there's no way governments and financial institutions and others are going to feel safe with their data in the cloud.
Okay, so that's a good point. So you're right. You've broken from the Windows 32-bit world, but they're coming out with runtime that works on Linux and Mac. So are you going to build ArcMap for Linux?
That's me biting my tongue.
Right, I know. Right, but I think they see that. They see what you're saying, right? That people are moving off the platform. That nobody is Windows-centric the way they were even 5 years ago.
Right, and I'll wait a couple releases and then I'll check it out. I mean, for me though, on Linux, they have to have some sort of free tier. Otherwise, I'm not going to. They've been pushing that with like $100 for personal home use thing. I might pay $100 to use it. I might try.
So I don't know if you saw that announcement. So the $100 home use now includes ArcInfo with all the extensions.
No way.
Yes.
Thank heaven for QGIS. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you wouldn't pay $100 for the whole Esri desktop platform?
No. My point is the only reason I think that's happening is because QGIS has basically commoditized desktop GIS software for them.
Probably, and it's just like I actually may buy it just so I have a copy of everything.
Sure, for $100 I'll buy a copy with everything, and if I can get it running on my Mac or my Ubuntu or Fedora box.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Okay, well then
no, you can start a virtual box and have your old Windows 7 32-bit license spool up.
That's true. I have one of those. I keep it around to see what Windows users experience when they use our stuff. So, yeah, you're right. All right, I'll do it, maybe. Because of you, James. Because of you.
All right. Well, so we need to sell that through my Esri reseller agreement.
Exactly.
$1.50.
Exactly. Hey, so when's the is there a WeoGeo plugin for QGIS?
I don't know. We should have one. We have a Python API. I could whip it up.
Go for it. Yeah, just add.
What? Me? I just volunteered?
Yes, exactly.
That's the kind of stuff I take on, and then I get no work done all that week because I'm fooling around creating something. He's putting on his pirate outfit now.
Because I've gone full bore, free and open source. I'll go back. Let's go back to the Esri UC.
Yep, that's fine. The other thing that was kind of interesting was some of their mobile technology they talked about. So that was sort of announced at the Dev Summit, which I didn't go. So actually, that was the first time I've actually seen some of that live. So you can imagine what happens is you create using I guess it's through ArcGIS Online. You actually author an app, which is actually a configure screen or a configure file. So you basically create what your app wants to look like, what widgets are in it, all this kind of stuff, and then you send it out to everybody. And if you have iOS, if you have Android, if you have Mac, if you have Linux, if you have Windows, you run that config file, and all of a sudden everybody already has what you have. You don't have to write applications anymore.
So it must be an HTML5 app, right?
No, it's actually the ArcGIS for iOS app and the Android ArcGIS, the one you get in the store.
I see. It puts the runtime
and it configures it. So it's a native app configurable by a config file. That even more awesome. You can actually have it go through ArcGIS Online, so it gets updated automatically, and all the mobile clients get changes to your app, so you don't have to push out.
That's a great strategy. I like that. My only concern is, having been in local governments and watched them with the Flex app, is people are going to be like, oh, well, look how great that is, but I want that button to do this. And then that IT shop in the local government's going to be like, oh, I have absolutely no concept of how to do that. You get what you get, and you don't get upset, right?
But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, GIS shops have had this, what can I do for you? Because it's a consulting business, right? If you want that button, what do I care? It's just billable hours.
Okay. But the thing is, most GIS shops don't usually have the technical expertise to know how to build that button, and if they do, their billable hours are going to go way over whatever they do.
You're right. So in a mobile sense, that becomes a whole different thing. So if I'm a .NET guy, and I've been doing .NET all my life in Esri world, all of a sudden Android, Mac OS, becomes a problem for me because I don't know Objective-C or Java.
Okay, so because everybody usually sees me as critical, I do want to say again, this is a great thing. But I do see that, I got to say something good. I do see this as being a problem when users say, well, I want it like this because I want it like this, and this is the way the flow should work. And then things are going to fall on their face like they did with the Flex API. Right? I think the Flex API got people all excited about this really great new interface, but it wasn't exactly what most people wanted. In the end, everybody wants to customize that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it falls apart because most shops don't have even a .NET developer on staff who's done a lot of that stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, maybe you solve the 90% with this solution. In fact, that I sort of tweeted my mom could configure these apps, which is very true. It's just this little configuration. You drag and drop things, hit save, and you're done. So that solves the problem with. You think about biologists, right? You want to create an app for biologists. Biologists don't know anything about programming, most of them. And they can make an app and share it with everybody.
So, I agree. So that what they could, like when I used to work in the consulting firm, there was the California Natural Diversity Database, CNDDB, and biologists really wanted something that they could just take out in the field and see their site and see what endangered species had occurred nearby, right? So building that simple app would have been great. But the next request you're going to get is, but I also want to record my field notes in that, right? And I bet you there's not a widget for put my field notes in. And so that's where people are going to be like, oh, well, why can't I have this? Other people have this. But it's great for cutting out a bunch of monkey work that GIS people do.
Yeah. And GIS people, most of them probably shouldn't be doing any programming, period, anyway, so.
True. Well, not true. If they applied themselves, it would go better. If they didn't think, well, anyway, we can go. That's a whole other discussion topic.
Right. And speaking of which, I didn't see anybody throwing themselves off the top of the Omni because VBA is no longer going to be supported in ArcGIS.
Yeah, that was coming for a long time. Right.
You say that, but some guy pulled me over and he says, who do I talk to stop them from dropping VBA? And I'm like, I don't know, Microsoft. You know,
it's gone. People should just get used to it. They've done a fairly good job, from what I hear, talking to my Esri friends about getting Python to be a replacement for it. Right? I think they've seen. If
you learn Python, the world is your oyster.
Although, yes, agreed. Although, don't learn Esri Python. That's all I'm saying. Learn Python as a Python programmer, and then do some Esri stuff. It's better than starting it as an Esri Python programmer and then moving out. That's all I'm saying.
You wouldn't recommend to go ahead and create model builder workflows and then save as Python and use that to learn?
I would. Oh, and use that to learn Python? No, I would. No, not at all.
It's tad verbose.
Yeah, and it's just not. It doesn't. It's a weird model compared to most Python programming.
Absolutely, absolutely. But hey, you know, if it gets you in the door,
that's true. You can put it on your resume. I know how to program in Python.
All right, Dave Bowman's not hiring anybody that has VB6 or VBA.
That's right. So the big pain is going to be for all those people that wrote extensions, right? Or did something with VBA, like that whole I haven't seen a good migration story for those. I remember when they had the AML to something converter. What was that? They had something that converted from AML to model builder.
Yeah, it did. I do remember that.
Right?
What was that? Or no, you could run your AML in Model Builder.
Was that what it was? No, I thought there was a converter. I think there was a.
Was there really?
I thought so. Well,
what a horrible job that must have been to create that tool. Right?
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
AML to ArcObjects. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, but I think they need something like that for VBA. At least if you do a first cut to get people like 50% of the way there.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. You know, VBA, as you said, it's all been on the, you know, we knew this day was coming.
Yes.
For those that didn't. But, you know, VB6 was probably more of a shock to some people because there's a lot of VB programmers out there, you know?
Right. It's true. Okay, wait. Let's get to exciting stuff.
Okay.
How about that? Ready?
Sounds good.
Yeah. This is all. See, Madeline's like falling asleep. Programming, schmogramming. What's going to make this sell or not sell or work or not work is the pricing model. And I heard there was enough confusion. Like, what was that we heard about, like, embedding? Where was that about embedding Office, ArcGIS for Office? How does that work again? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
That's exciting news.
Yeah. I have an Excel file of some addresses, right?
Nice. And I'm on Mac.
On
and you're
Mac,
on Windows.
I'm on Windows. I don't have a Mac. I'm running on my Lenovo ThinkPad from 5 years ago, running Office 2012. First thing I say is, you know what? These addresses are great, but I want points on a map. Right?
Who doesn't want points on a map?
Right? Because otherwise...
Starbucks. Are they Starbucks?
Yeah, exactly. There's Starbucks locations. So I go ahead and basically there's this toolbar in our Esri Maps for Office toolbar. Click on that, add my little map, pick a base map, one of the ones I want in the background, and then I point it to my cells that I want to geocode. Goes out, takes the addresses, geocodes in place on a map.
Sweet.
Okay. So I think at that point the only usage of ArcGIS Online that I've used is the geocoding. Okay. I think the base maps are free. So the question is, how do I find out how much does it cost for me to geocode 10,000 addresses?
Okay.
There's no calculator right now. So you're pretty much, you'll know when your Esri rep calls you and tells you you've done all your things.
So do you think people came out of the conference with a clear understanding of how ArcGIS Online works and how how much it will cost them? Or are people still sort of confused?
I think they're still confused. I really do. It's one of these things.
We're not even done with the story yet.
Oh, the story. So I
because this is a long story. Because one of the other benefits of ArcGIS Online in Office is, oh, look, I've geocoded all of our Starbucks locations. Now I want to send it to Madeline and have Madeline see what it looks like. Right?
So I'm gonna send a copy of this Excel file to both you and Madeline.
Awesome.
Okay? So because Madeline works with me, I'm going to send her a copy first. So I quick hit save, email it off, and she's got a copy of it. She opens it up on her desktop. She doesn't have Esri Maps for Office. She sees a static PNG of where I saved it. So the map shows all the points on a map, and she can't really use it, but she can at least see the map. Pretty cool, huh?
No. All I had to do is take a screenshot of my application and drop that right into the Excel spreadsheet, and it wouldn't give any warnings or anything else.
So it gets better. It gets better. So I email it to her, and then you say, James, I'd like to see that spreadsheet. I'm like, okay, but before I can email it to you, my girlfriend comes in and says, hey, where were you staying in San Diego? I want to see. So I take the little map in the window, and I drag it to San Diego, zoom in to the gas lamp, and say, look, we were staying here. This is where I had beers with Steve. And she goes, thanks, and she walks out the door, and I go, oh, crap, I got to email this to Steve. I hit save on the Excel, email it to you, and you've got a picture of the gas lamp. Not of my points.
Sweet! All right, and then you forgot one other point about the whole story. If I wanted to actually have it interactive, so you're saying, James, I really need to zoom back. How do I get it to be an interactive app in my Excel? And what happens?
You pay $2,500 for a license of ArcGIS Online. Then you go download Esri Maps for Office, and then you'll have it.
So does that mean I have to actually have a subscription to ArcGIS Online?
You do. You do. It's like the GeoPDF Terrago people. It's like right. It might be awesome, but it's only awesome if you have a copy of our software.
So all you GIS folks out there, don't get too excited, because if you wanted to send it to your biologists, every single one of your biologists who wants to zoom around the map that you're sending them needs to have a subscription to ArcGIS Online. Right? Basically you're looking at enterprise. It's pushing more and more towards you need an enterprise license to use this stuff.
It's a business model, right?
I got it. It's just I want people to understand the business model, because I think that's what they didn't. I think that's what makes this survive or not survive, and which to Esri, I think the thing that has made ArcGIS Online hindered for such a long time is their business model. Like, I don't think their business model has been really acceptable to most people.
No, you're absolutely right. It's the traditional how many ArcGIS servers can I sign you down for, right?
Exactly. And if you have to have ArcGIS server or a full desktop to publish this and that, and then you have to have it's too complicated and it's too nickel and dimey in the way it works.
We were talking about this. So what could Esri do to solve that problem? Someone's like, well, they can make a viewer for ArcGIS or the maps, but then you still need to install it, right? It's still an add-in you have to install to Office.
But
right?
they should again, as we've said all along, they should give that stuff away for free to get more people to use it. The viewer.
So speaking of giving stuff away for free, what do you guys think about Esri offering the digital globe data?
Holy smokes, right? Did you see that, Steve?
No. What?
So Clear 30. You familiar with Clear 30?
No. Go.
So Clear 30 is digital globe. I think Microsoft and a bunch of government agencies where they flew the United States and have 30-centimeter resolution imagery for all the United States.
Right.
For those who can't see, he's got his bozo hat on.
Because I didn't know about this.
So it's pretty awesome. 30-centimeter resolution.
Phenomenal.
Yep, and I think Western Europe too.
Yes.
Basically, you can
Latin America or Asia. Screw them.
I'm just not going to say anything. So basically, you now through ArcGIS Online, you can get access to that as a web service for free.
Okay, that's actually pretty darn good.
Right?
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
So I'm not buying anything from anybody anymore.
Yeah, now wait the digital globe to suck the entire every ArcGIS user. I don't know why. You said 30-centimeter imagery for the. What's the date on it? Do you know?
I'm not that familiar with the Clear 30 program, but I think it's relatively recent. I think they've been flying it like crazy over the last year.
Oh my gosh! Like all those companies we used to buy air photo imagery from.
Oh, they're all dead, except for the little ones that do specialized things. But that actually segues into something else that was really cool: the UAVs. There was a bunch of UAVs at the UC.
Nice.
So for $1,500 or whatever, you get a little suitcase.
Yeah.
With you ever see those air hogs, the little planes, and you plug the thing in? They're bigger than that, but they're made of styrofoam, and they got this little engine in the back.
They had they had them at Wear Camp like 3 or 4 years ago, where people were like, "Here's a UAV, we're going to fly it in the middle of Wear Camp, and then we're going to put this on. We're going to take the images and put them up at Wear Camp."
So now that's the model, right? So everything's satellite. Satellite has obliterated almost everything except for very small niche companies in probably certain areas, But everybody else they'll just buy one of these UAVs or hire a company that's probably going to be damn cheap, eventually when the FAA allows you to fly, you can't fly these things in the U.S. right now because the FAA bans them.
You can't?
But,
are you sure?
I'm absolutely sure. But apparently it's going to go away soon, maybe.
All right. But then again, it's kind of like with those handheld walkie-talkies. Aren't you you were supposed to get like an FCC license for some of them or something like that if you were using it for some purposes? I forget. I remember getting one, and there was like a whole FCC thing you had to sign off on, and I was like, they're going to come after me. I don't think so. And so I think the same thing's going to happen with that drone. If you're a biological consulting firm, you buy a couple of those drones, you teach your biologists how to fly it, they go out to the field site, fly it. The FCC's not, as long as you're not that high up, I don't see how the FCC is going to come after you.
I completepletely agree. I don't know if the companies will sell it though, because they have commercial, or government contracts. So if the CIA is buying stuff from you, and all of a sudden you're selling stuff to me, they're going to be like, what are you doing? So there might be pressure from government not to make those sales. But you're right. You could buy it through a proxy in Australia, and then FedEx it here the next day. So
that's right. And I think that actually is great for all the consulting firms, both construction engineering. Does it auto register it and all that stuff, or is it just like?
Yeah, I mean, you still need to do some post processing, obviously, because you've got
Esri,
pictures.
But Esri probably has those tools built in now too.
Right, the new Esri tools built into ArcView even level basically takes care of all this stuff. So
that's right. So that's a great advancement. That's like a good democratization of technology, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Agreed. Okay, guys. So it's starting to be time to wrap this thing up. But yeah, we can keep talking, but we're going to end the broadcast. But I have one more question for you, James.
Yeah.
Just how awesome was the heavy metal mariachi band?
Okay. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Metalachi.
Oh, how could I saw the clip. That was awesome.
It was the most awesome thing I have ever seen. Well, maybe my son being born is number one, and then Metalachi is number two. Okay?
Nice.
So basically, these guys, we were in the Esri party. For those who haven't been in the last 2 years, is now at Balboa Park, where it used to be years ago. So in one of the central courtyards for I don't remember which museum it was, there must have been a couple hundred of us with basically draining every ounce of beer that was brought into this thing, basically rocking out to metal bands, but played by a mariachi band, with the horns, the guitars, the violins, everything.
The Crazy Train snip that you put up was awesome.
And it didn't even give, because you couldn't hear the crowd singing along, but the whole crowd it was like totally not an Esri, and the band gets done, and basically the crowd is yelling encore, wanting them to come back out. I'm thinking, when was the last time that ever happened at an Esri party? Never.
Zero. Never happens.
Never happens.
Never happens.
So, yeah, I mean, I was tweeting about it. Dave Bowman and I were there, and we're tweeting about it, and so many people came over. They're like, wow, this is the most incredible, because you sort of say, that sounds awesome, and then you're like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't work, and then you hear it, and you're just like, I could buy this. I could really buy this.
So it's also, there was a whole meme around like lounge music getting played, heavy metal lounge music, like doing Metallica and stuff like that. And did you ever listen to those?
Yeah, those were pretty damn funny.
Those are pretty awesome.
Music.
I bet you were sad that it wasn't. What's that band that always plays? The Esri employees that play
Traffic, something. I can't remember them all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Something Traffic or something. I think that's dead. I think that's dead. I think those guys.
I mean, they were good musicians, and it was kind of fun to hear them, but that's no comparison to, like, Metalachi, right? I mean, that...
I told Dave Bear... and I said that Dave Bowman and I told Jim Barry that you need to have this band at the Dev Summit, because
way better
Esri would make more money selling beer to the devs listening to this Metalachi band than they would all year off ArcGIS Online subscriptions.
Agreed. And you know what? Can I just point something out, though, that from the outer, bigger tech world? How many go to Esri UC? 16,000, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Oracle or Qualcomm or any of those brings in, like, the Google Dolls or Train or some other big-name brand. So Esri should consider them. They did a really good job of setting themselves up with traffic for all those years. so that when they bring in Metalachi, everybody's like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever."
Oh no, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Because if it was any other company that wasn't located in the Inland Empire with those sensibilities, Esri would have to bring in somebody on the level of, like, I don't know, what would be another big name band that they'd have to bring in some big name band for 16,000 people, and they'd have to take all of Balboa Park and use that for it. Just saying, Esri has trained their users well. Yeah,
you sort of get it, you know, after a while. It is what it is. And maybe that is moving it back to the Balboa Park. You know, you get to have a little more fun. And you know, Metalachi was one of those moments. You're just there, just saying, you know. And it's funny. Everybody in the central corridor, you know, the central courtyard, they start playing every song, and it's very mariachi. But they start bringing in a little bit parts, the hooks into the metal songs. Everybody's like, "Oh, I know this song. I know." You know, everyone's trying to figure out who can guess what it is first.
Right.
You know.
And then comes the hook, and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah. Metalachi was.
Now where are my metal horns?
Right. It was the most awesome thing we've ever seen. So.
Nice.
Cool.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for participating in this Hangout. Steve, thanks for being our special guest. And that was our first episode. So, yeah. All right. And we'll see you all next week.
Give us some feedback on this, because we're all learning how this Google Hangouts thing works. And, you know, Steve's got his little...
Well, because now I get to be a pretty princess.
You are a pretty princess. Yeah, you are a pretty princess. So we're trying to figure this out. So if you guys got suggestions, because there's a lot of other people trying to do these Hangouts, so if stuff you see works, let us know, because I think this is pretty cool and kind of fun to do. So I'd like to continue doing it weekly. So good deal. All right.
Thanks,
yep. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Okay,
thanks, Steve.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.